So I was just watching the clip that I uploaded almost 6 months ago in January, just sharing with people that there's a certain way I envision myself showing up in life that I haven't got to yet. So looking at that clip, which was about 60 seconds, I put on Instagram to, get people to look at the full YouTube video I posted in January. Looking at that clip, it's so it almost like gives me chills looking at my own self, like looking at, like, I feel like I look healthier now. I feel healthier. I feel more at peace. I don't feel as confused as I did. The title of that video was like 20 and confused or something like that, right? So, in my 20s and confused, in my 20s and single, in my 20s and moving back home with my parents. And I think that we look at those things as that's how I'm not showing up, because I don't have these things to show for. I'm not showing up for myself. The life that I have right now, because it's not what I'm seeing perfectly, is not as important. And I think that that is something that I just have to address in this video before we get started with anything, is that how you show up every day it's not about you like showing up glass totally full every day. If you show up each day and one day it's full, one day it's kind of half, one day it's just a little sip, a little swig, one day it's about a quarter, you're still showing up, you're still there. And I think it's so important that we honor our progress, okay? You have made way more progress than you think, and if you don't get anything out of me sharing my progress with you guys, please get the fact that you need to take inventory of your progress. Take inventory of your progress, like every month, even at the end of the week, because sometimes we feel like after going to work every day, some of you have children, some of you have spouses, after showing up for yourself, other people, your job, your kids, like you're feeling like you didn't make any progress, and you definitely did. So looking back at me saying I feel like I'm not showing up as that Brianna that I envisioned 6 months ago, now I feel like I'm showing up as the Brianna I need to be every single day. And I think that that's what's important, is it is about what you're doing every day. It is not about who you're going to be a year from now, 5 years from now. Yes, it matters to have goals, but who are you today? Are you honoring yourself today? Are you keeping hold to your standards that you have? Because I could show up as that Brianna. I could not be single right now. I could have my own place right now. I could live outside of my hometown right now and not have learned anything from what I've gone through 6 months ago. And here I am repeating the same things in a completely different area, an avenue with a different person, different name, but the same characteristics of that toxic person. Nice, beautiful apartment, still in debt, still struggling financially, so there's just so much that you can do. And I think that that's what we get caught up on, is like, yes, it's limitless for you. You can do whatever you want in life, but what you do every day is what counts. How you feel every day. Like, we get so caught up on how we look, and I don't mean just like our physical appearance, but how we appear to others. We get so caught up on people's opinion, we get so caught up on social media, and you have to honor your progress, because your personal progress every day is way bigger than you think. So with that being said, let's get into this video. Now I'm so excited to share this with you guys, because I didn't even realize what I was saying in January of 2022. Like, I don't think you guys get that. I didn't even realize how bad things were. I just was sharing it. I just was kind of acknowledging, like, wow, these are a lot of big changes we're about to make, Brie. And behind the scenes, there's been so much work that I've had to do. So, yeah, let's talk about it. There's nothing really major going on. I just am excited to update you guys, because it's been almost 6 months from my last video. So in my last video, I was talking about the year being kind of rough. I somewhat touched on a toxic relationship I had been dealing with. I was moving a few months early out of my lease from my place, moving back home. So yeah, I want to update you guys. I want to, of course, help you feel like you have a sense of belonging in your life and a bit of just better understanding. My last YouTube video, I was talking about just feeling a bit confused. There were so many different moving pieces for me, so it was very hard for me to feel like my life made sense, and it was very depressing. It's easy to kind of say things, but to actually process what I was going through and like really dive in, those next months following after sharing that was crazy. So yeah, let's get into it. So as I said, nothing really major, okay? We just have made some improvements. We're employed now. There were just so many things going on. So really thinking back to January of this year, I was unemployed. I was sad. I was heartbroken. There was just so much going on. Just all overall disappointed in myself and disappointed in life. Like, is this really it? Because I'm gonna need more. Okay. Things felt very dull for me, very mundane, very boring, and not boring in a sense of like I'm even a person who does a lot. I don't party. There's just a lot that I don't do, but there's a lot that I see myself doing, if that makes sense. So I want to update you guys. It's been almost 6 months since I moved back home with my parents. That was quite an adjustment. When I first moved back home, my sleep schedule and everything was totally different. And it's not that being here, like, it's not like there's anything going on here that caused that, like, that I could really see visibly. It's not like, you know, this is like a party house or anything. Like, it just was so different. Getting back into a completely different space, being back in my childhood room, different memories, different feelings, just so much, just so many moving pieces. I probably won't even fit it all into this video or be able to articulate it because I've grown so much. And I think that it's so important to honor our progress, and that's why I want to make this video. So I'm going to do my best to push through, and I'm going to do my best to be confident and bold and share it, okay? So, as I said, I moved early from out of my lease. I moved about almost 3 months before it was up. I moved to get away from a toxic relationship. I moved because I was broke and had no job, no money coming in to keep paying rent. I just was a hot mess. So I moved home. I wasn't employed. A couple days after moving home, I interviewed for the second time with the place that I'd interviewed a week or two prior. And then I was actually given an offer a few days after that interview. So I was super excited, but the kicker was that new job opportunity did not start until March. So this is still January 2022. The job did not start until March of 2022. And they told me initially it would be February. So I was already a little bit kind of like panicky because I'm like, y'all understand, a girl is broke, okay? I'm living at home with my parents. I need to get my money up, okay? So once they compiled the entire job offer and everything, they told me the start date would not be until March 21st. Not even the beginning of March, like this is mid-March, okay? So it was just really, really crazy. And long story short, I ended up working at a part-time job. I did some janitorial work part-time to make sure I keep my vehicle because you need your car, and just to have money, you know? So that was a different experience for me, but there was something about it that I just like took so much pride in, and I just embraced it. I embraced the season that I was in. I got some traveling opportunities. I was able to visit a friend in one state, and then I was actually able to travel courtesy of my photography business for the first time ever. I was actually paid to travel to Florida to capture a beach wedding. So that was really awesome. So I got to do some great things and maintain what I already have leading up to starting my job. So I've been with my job now for, I believe I just got my email notification of 90 days. So it's been 3 months since I've started, and it really is such an awesome feeling. I guess, you know, I didn't picture myself being at this moment. When I made that last video in January, I was putting things into perspective for myself, and that was great, right? But realistically, like I said, processing everything off of camera and going through things day to day, I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of fears. There was so much going on that it just didn't feel like it made sense. Like the more I went through it at first, when I was really struggling, I just felt like I would never get out of this. This is not going to change. Like, this is just going to be so bad, and I don't know if things will ever get better, and I don't know if all these things I see happening will happen and if they'll be worth it. So to be at a place now where I feel more content, where being vulnerable doesn't scare me as much as it did probably a month or so ago, is really, really special to me. So like I said, there's nothing really major going on. I just feel a lot better, and those things that I was talking about in that video in January are now in fruition. I have that job. I'm somewhat content with living at home. I know that realistically no one really wants to live at home with their parents. You want your independence, you want your own space. You know, we see these like day in the life videos on TikTok all day, every day of people having these beautiful luxury apartments, and it just looks like the life, you know. But something I'm learning is you really have to zoom in on your own, and you have to like evaluate what works for you. So if I went out and got an apartment right now, it would just make no sense. I would put myself back in the hole, and I'd probably end up moving back home a year from then again. So I don't want to keep repeating the same lessons, and that's something that has been so crucial to me just this whole year of 2022 so far. Is anything I've already learned, I don't want to learn it again. Especially not hard lessons, especially not things where it's like, okay, now we have to go completely backwards. I just don't want to repeat of anything. So I think I talked a little bit in that video at the beginning of this year about money and finances and how that's a struggle for me. I think that I talked a little bit about that, and so moving back home, like I said, I was not employed, I had debt, I had so many things behind, and that's how I ended up working part-time janitorial work until my job started, because I just couldn't afford for anything else to be any more in the hole. So I was actually able to set up a solid payment plan for my biggest debt that I've had, and I've had it since 2018. I've only paid the minimum. I ended up using the card a lot last year, so I ran it back up, and so it ended up being a very big debt for me, and that was something that got behind with me having my own space, because as you know, when you have rent to pay, you're going to choose that over other things. You're going to have to keep that up because you don't want to lose your place, you don't want to be kicked out, right? So you start deciding like, what can I not pay? You know, so that was my issue there. So long story short, that credit card got very behind, and now I'm so excited to share that it's June next month. I will be making my last payment on the credit card. It will be at 0, okay, which is crazy. I never would have imagined that. Even when I moved back home, I can't express enough. Like, yes, I was able to share all that with you guys, but I was so overwhelmed. I had no clue how I was going to do all of this. I had no clue if I was going to be hired at that job. I had no clue, you know, if I'd still be able to travel, if I'd be able to pay things off, if I'd ever get my money back in order. So yeah, I'm super, super excited, and I'll share a video more in depth with that, because I feel like a lot of people don't talk about debt. You know, we talk about like student loan debt, which I'm blessed not to have, but we don't talk about just like a lot of our spending habits aren't good. We are trying to keep up with a lot that we see on social media, and it becomes a major downfall. So yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else that I touched on in that video. I think that's pretty much it. Still single, okay? No longer unemployed. I work full time. I am at a job that I'm pretty content with. I really enjoy it. I feel like I'm doing work that makes sense. I feel like I am helping people, and that's my biggest thing with work. And I also feel like I'm being compensated in a way that makes sense, okay? So yeah, I'm super happy to share these updates with you guys. I would say the biggest thing, like I said, I've been focusing on since making that video, since the beginning of 2022, is just not repeating lessons. I don't want to do anything twice if I don't have to. A lot of these lessons have been hard for me. Like I said, having to literally move to get away from a toxic relationship, literally move because our finances are so bad, moving home without a job because, you know, we just didn't do enough research on that job we started. These are things I don't want to keep going through, because yes, you can overcome anything, but once you learn something, it's so important to actually apply that lesson to your life. Don't just go back and do the same thing. So I'm happy to share that I have made some changes, okay? And change is terrifying. Making changes are scary because we are used to what we're used to. And even when something is absolutely terrible for us, if I know that like the back of my hand, the comfortability of me knowing that so well is way better than the uncomfortability of me trying something new. So yes, that relationship was toxic, but it was a huge comfort zone for me because I knew all this. I knew the whole cycle front to back. You know, I knew it. And it was more comfortable to stay in it than to walk away, because walking away means we will be by ourselves. And I knew I could have stayed at that job that literally was not compensating me correctly. They couldn't tell me what I was making hourly or anything. I knew I could kept using that as an excuse as to not start looking for something new, but my finances were falling by the wayside, and as was I. I couldn't properly take care of myself. So comfortability will keep us, and we'll keep making those same mistakes because it's what we know. But I promise you, there's something brilliant on the other side of you trying what you don't know. I promise you, stepping outside of your comfort zone, whether that's moving back home with your parents, whether that's breaking up with a person that is not good for you, letting go of a friendship, letting go of a job, I promise you there is something better. And I think the biggest thing that's better is that you're making a decision for yourself. You're trusting yourself, and you're doing your best to offer yourself something better. So yeah, I'm so excited that I'm able to share positive updates. I am not still in the same situation. I've grown so much. I've made so much progress, and I'm incredibly, incredibly proud of myself. So I hope that if you got anything out of my rambling today, that you deserve to be proud of yourself as well. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's paying off a $50 tab you have somewhere. I don't care if it is getting yourself some nice work clothes. I don't care if it is, no matter what it is, no progress is too small to honor. So yeah, I wanted to make this video to honor the progress I've made over the last 6 months, because it hasn't been easy. It wasn't fun when I was making those changes, and I think that we look at the long-term result of those changes. So we look at the fact that yes, if I walk away from this relationship, one day I'm gonna have a really, really great partner, right? But realistically, where is this person at? I'm by myself. We look at the longevity of, okay, if I move back home with my parents, I can get my money right. I can set myself up really, really nice and move wherever I want to move, a year or two from then. But we don't look at the day ins and outs, the everyday task of living at home with other people again, and adjusting and not having all that privacy and space you're used to having just for yourself. We look at, well, when I start making this much money, how do you manage it? How do you budget? So yeah, make those changes. Go for it. Go for progress. And I think that you can't lose that way. If you're going into something to make progress for yourself, to do the best that you can, to offer yourself the best that you can give yourself, I think that you can't lose, so yeah, I just want to share my progress, and I hope that it encourages you to, if you don't do anything after this, to acknowledge some progress you have made. I promise you, it is almost 7 months into 2022. There's something different that you've done. Okay, there's something, even if it's not totally different, even if they're not necessarily changes, there's some progress that you've made. So yes, thank you guys for tuning in today. Again, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope that this encourages you to just take some inventory of your progress. Okay, take inventory of your progress. We get so caught up on what we haven't done and what we don't have, where we're not at, where we haven't gone, what we haven't seen, who we haven't dated. It just becomes this crazy cluster of negativity in our minds, and it manifests in many different ways. And before you know it, you're not making any progress at all, because you're so focused on where you are right now. So don't become stuck, make a little step. Each day goes a long way. So with that being said, I'm done rambling. I hope you got something out of this, and thank you for tuning in and supporting.